Welcome back, guys. So this is the social media known project, and now that we have the very basic setup already ready, so let's dive into actually creating account functionality for our website. And as we are doing that, we are also going to begin to set up some basic template HTML files, things like our base HTML file and the index HTML file and home page. So these files we will create. Alright, so let's hop over to the Atom text editor and get started. So in my case, this is Atom text editor. In your case, it will be Visual Studio Code or whatever you are using. So let's start from here. And we have some basic template files I will create. We are always going to be using such as base template and home page template. That means I will come over to templates and I'm going to create a new file under my templates directory. That's the top level base.html. Okay, so that's where our actual base template is going to go, and then I will also create a new file here called index.html for our actual home page. And then what I am going to do here is type HTML, and I will just set up some basic home page. So let's just say something like here in our actual body. So let's create a heading one and say something like welcome to star social. Then you can give exclamation mark, and then right at the top of this, what I can do is I know I am already going to be extending from base.html, so let's do that as well. So I will say extend from based on HTML, and then I will also put the actually since I know I'm extending from base, that's .html, and I will put everything inside a block. Okay, so let's get rid of all this. Since I know I'm going to have a content block, and I will say blog and then content, and I will put welcome to star social inside of this content blog. Okay, now that's I have that. Okay, that actually means I need to go back to my HTML file or base.html file and set up a few things there. Since I'm going to be extending from base for HTML, I need to make sure that this is actually kind of a normal looking HTML file. Okay, so I will keep that right now, and then inside the body, what I am going to do is set up that actual block. So we'll say block, and then it's called contain. Okay, so I will say that for now there is still a lot more we can add in here that we are going to add in, such as navigation bar, links to CSS, but for right now we'll keep it simple and we'll just keep it as it is right now. So that's all I want to do for based on HTML. And in order to actually connect the base HTML and the index HTML to my actual web application or website, what I need to do is come over to urls.py under simple social. Under this, I'm also going to create a new file called views.py. Okay, And basically we'll create a really simple views for our homepage and then link it to the URLs for the entire page. So I am going to say from Django dot views dot generic import and I will import the template view that we will use later. So we will say class homepage and this is going to inherit from template view. Okay, and then I am just going to say that's it, template name. My template name is equal to index.html. You can say I have a lot of auto complete help there because I am using a Django plugin package for Atom text editor, and in your case it will be different for the VS Code. I have some page template named index.html that's looking good, and now I need to come over to your py and make sure that I actually link it there here. So let's scroll down and then I will say not just URL but also include from Django .conf.urls import URL and include, and from Django.contrib import admin, and now I will add another from dot import views. So that just say go to the current directory which is simple social and then grab views from there. Let's add it into our URL patterns and we will say URL and then using a regular expression I will say here a caret symbol. But you know, for updated Django it is not correct, regular expression is not correct. You need to convert it into path, or that I already told you earlier in blog clone project or in Django tutorial. Please convert that URL patterns into the latest URL pattern, and this you can do by using ChatGPT, and ChatGPT easily can convert that, but this is the old pattern. Okay, second URL is views.homepage as view, and we need to say so call that method of it, and then I will assign this name home. So save that. So there is still a lot more to add to this, but let's just make sure that we actually made that connection correctly, and if not we can debug. I will run the server, and now let's hop over the slide and refresh it, and now it says welcome to Star Social. That's it. So we linked up our home page. That should have been pretty straightforward given everything that we have already done it so far in this course. Now let's actually jump over and start with our add account application. Okay, so I will come over to accounts. Let me close these so we don't get confused on anything. So now everything I'm doing is over in accounts and under models.py here. So what I want to create a simple model for accounts, and I'm actually going to use a Django built-in models for this. And now inside this models.py file, what I'm going to do is import from Django.contrib and first we have done Django.db import models, and now from Django.contrib import authentication. Okay, auths. So a lot of these authorization tools for accounts that are actually built into Django. That way we don't have to mess around creating our own models for users, etc. So I'm just going to say class user, and I'm going to inherit from of models user, and then I'm also going to inherit from of models dot permission. Permission mixing. And then inside of this class, I'm just going to have a very simple string representation of the object. And what I am going to do here is say, if you want the string representation of a user, do the following. I will say as such as the symbol, kind of like a Twitter handle, and then using the format expression. Okay. So I'm saying here dot format self dot username. Now you may be wondering, well, where is username? So that's actually an attribute that comes built in. We have user, so of that model's user has the main attribute, and you can check out the documentation for more information on this. But basically it comes with what you would expect it to come with. It has a first name, last name, email, username, and then maybe one more field. But what we are going to do is use this to automatically set up a form, so that when someone is signing up for our actual website to become a user on it, Django is essentially going to take care of on the backend for us. So let me say that, and then let's continue on by creating a view for this. So I am going to create a view, and we are going to need to connect this to form later on. But I will do the following. Okay, I will create the views here. So I will say from Django, not Django, Django. So Django.conf from Django.core.url resolver import reverse slave. That I already introduced you this thing in blog project. So we are using that in case someone is logged in or logged out, where they should actually go. And then I will say from dot import forms. So what I am going to do is, now that I have forms here, I will create a form.verify that will connect my forms for logging in or signing up to the actual view. So before I continue here, I will say just class sign up, and this is going to be a create view, which means I need to import that. We'll say from Django views.generic import a create view. So this is for creating a new user, and then here I am just going to say path, because I want to deal with my forms file first. So inside of accounts, I will say new file, and then I will create a forms.py file. And now let's kind of create the forms we are signing up. So this is actually again going to be relatively straightforward, given that Django is kind of doing a lot of the heavy lifting for us, which is kind of the whole point of Django, that it does all this. All this stuff right out of the box, it comes. So a couple of things I need to import here from Django that contribute or import get user model. So that returns the user model that's currently active in this project, and then I will say from Django dot contrib auth.forms imports, and then I am going to import a user creation form. So as you can see, there is already a user creation form built into authorization package. So a lot of the stuff we are going to be using just comes from this particular package, which also had excellent documentation. So again, basically the documentation page shows you how to create user accounts, admin accounts, etc. It has a whole basically use page that goes through an entire process of doing this. So if you ever get confused on this or want some more reference, check out the documentation. It's actually really good practice for you. But nowadays you can go to ChatGPT and you can ask anything and it will generate the result for you. So I will say here Django.contrib from .auth.forms and import a user creation form, and this is essentially going to be kind of sign up. So when someone wants to create a user, then I will say user create form, and I will inherit from the user creation form. What you want to be careful of is make sure that your class that's inheriting from this user creation form is not exact same name as user creation form. So we could also say this as user sign up form, but you don't want these to share the exact same name. Otherwise, sometimes Python will have an error with a self-reference call like that. So we'll say colon here, and I'm going to create my meta class, which we have actually kind of seen before. Remember, I can call the fields attribute field attribute inside of this class, and then put a tuple of fields. Okay. So now these fields are actually already available for me from contribute of contrib.auth. So the fields that I am going to have a user fill out is the username, their email, and then password. So let me put that as a string password one, and then also has a string uh, password 2. So that comes with the authorization user model, and it's basically just to confirm your password. So those are the fields I want someone to put in. You could add more fields if you wanted to, but right now we will just keep those basic default fields from authorization. And then this is kind of the most important part. We say model is equal to get user model, which allows us to use right here to get the current model of who's ever accessing that website. And then we will say diff. Wait for some time. Let me come and we'll start this next one. Wait for some time. Okay? And then we will say diff, and we are going to initialize this with self arguments, keywords arguments. So this is essential, where I would not expect you to memorize this, but instead reference the documents for this particular thing. So what I am going to do here, say create super, and then initialize that with the arguments and keywords arguments, and then here we'll just say self fields. That label is equal to display name. So what is this actually doing? Well, basically what's going to happen is when the user comes in and they are ready to sign up, we are going to call user creation form from authorization form, and then we set up the meta class. Basically, so these are the fields that I want. When we set up the okay meta class, we already set up, and to be able to access the user when they are signing up. So whenever we are connecting to our models or the database, this is what they are going to have access to the username, the email, and then set up the confirm their password. Now, if I actually want labels on that form in that template, what I do is here under the init, after calling this super class, what you end up doing is saying self fields, almost like a dictionary, username label, and then you can set up the label for that actual field. So that's the same thing as setting up a label on the form HTML page, except here we are going to set it from the actual form dot query view, and then finally I want self is email label. So I will say let's just call that email address. So as a quick note, you don't really need to do this. This is kind of just for your own customization label, in case you had a specific thing that you wanted to show. So for example, let's say you are trying to make a Twitter clone. Maybe instead of using, you could say something here such as display name is something like Twitter account handle or etc. If you're doing something that's kind of specific or customized to your website where you don't want a username, just say username. You instead want it to say my Twitter account handle on the actual form, that when the user is using your website, they have a better understanding of what username will actually stand for. So this is where you could actually do that. You would say self fields, access whatever fields you want it that's available to you in form. So usually it's just your first name, last name, username, email, and password, and then you call that label attribute of that, and then set it as your display name. So that's actually all we need to do here in form this .py, and now that we have that ready to go, we can come back to view.py and set that. So I will come back to the view.py over here, and now instead of saying pass, let's start playing this in. So this is going to take out form class object attribute, and this is going to be forms.user create form. And note here, I'm not initiating the class, so I don't put parentheses. I'll just leave it like that. So my form class is actually equal to this form class. Just setting this attribute equal to that class that we just created, and then I'm going to have a success URL be equal to reverse lazy, and then I will say login. So what does that actually mean? It means once someone has signed up for our actual website, then on successful sign up, I will revert them back in the login page. But remember, it's a reverse lazy because I don't want this to actually execute until they have hit submit on that sign up button. Otherwise, if it was just a normal reverse, it would kind of automatically reverse without letting them sign up. That's why I have reverse lazy there, and then I need to finally say the template name for this. So a template name is going to be equal to accounts slash sign up HTML. So let me say that, and now let's actually work with templates on our accounts. So underneath the accounts folder, I'm going to create a new folder called templates. Let's make sure that there, so templates, and then under that, remember we kind of follow this app templates, app directory stream. So under template, I will create something called accounts. A directory there, and then finally under here is where I am going to have two template files, a login HTML template and a sign up HTML template. So we'll say new file, login that HTML, and then we'll say new file sign up HTML. So that's it for now. In the next session or next lecture, I should say, we are going to do is kind of keep continuing filling out these HTML files and then connecting the views to your URLs. But let's quickly go over what we just did there. So over here in accounts, what we ended up doing was from models.py inside the account. We basically created this really simple user model. Technically, it's not that simple. Our job is simple, but the heavy lifting is being done by Django by just putting these two things: models, user, models permission basically. Then we are also doing is coming over to views.py and create a very simple sign up, create view that's simply creating a new user, and then we need to connect that to a user create form. So we create a new file called forms.py, and we are use this user create form. And then you also notice that we kind of set up our own custom field labels for the username and email. These are technically not mandatory. You don't have to set up your own custom label, but in case you ever need it to do that, that's how you can do it. Alright, coming up next, we are going to kind of mess around on .py, making the connection and also set up the login and sign up .html templates. Okay, thanks for this session. Let's meet in the next session.